But, man, the Bears seem to be finding it. But Justin Fields specifically, unbelievable performance the last few weeks. Him and DJ Moore have had a great connection. That's now over 1,300 yards for DJ Moore. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields leads them to another win against an Atlanta Falcons defense that sneaky has been solid. Yeah. Sneaky has been solid against the run and against the pass. And he threw for 268 yards. He ran for a score, I believe. He threw for a score. Tremendous game for him. The reason why we bring this up is because Dan Orlovsky put out a tweet here. And I want to see if I can pull it up right here. If I can learn how to do this properly, Brad, let's see if I got this down. Whammy. Here it is.
Boom.
Boom. The Chicago Bears in the field situation is now legit fascinating. And the question at the bottom is, how many of the last 10 number one overall quarterbacks flip their franchise? If you're listening to this later, because we have this on Spotify and Apple, these are the 10 quarterbacks. I'm going to read them off. Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, famous Jameis Winston, Andrew Luck, Cam Newton, Sam Bradford. When I look at that list, I can wholeheartedly say Joe Burrow, Andrew Luck, and Cam Newton. But guys, the rest of Trevor Lawrence, I think, has helped them too. But does Dan have a point here, Zach? I mean, this is because the number one overall pick, the Panthers, they solidified it, and the Panthers traded that pick to Chicago. Is it worth it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting when you think about the fact that Caleb Williams is considered this astronomical prospect that's going to come in and just, like you said, from day one, you're a new franchise. That's not necessarily how it works, though.
Yeah.
You have guys like we were talking before. Trevor Lawrence is up there. I think he's 50-50. Joe Burrow, obviously, yes. But then there's that big gap between Luck, Newton, where you went Winston, Goff, Mayfield, Murray. None of them, Goff took his team to a Super Bowl, but you weren't necessarily saying it was because of Jared Goff. He didn't take them to that next step. That was the Todd Gurley's in them. So I think Dan has a point. It's a weird situation to be in for the Bears fans because I don't even know what personally I would want to do.
Yeah, that's the point. The point that people say to move on, and they think Caleb Williams is such a transcendent talent, those people are going to say, move on, reset the quarterback clock, and continue to build. But then other people are going, there was a couple plays yesterday. Justin Fields looked dead in the water. Yeah. And he escaped just like what Lamar can do and turns in a play that would have been an 8-yard loss into a 12-yard gain and a first down. It was tremendous to watch. And if we're looking at Justin Fields really over the course of the season, now he got hurt in that big game after the big game against the Commanders where he threw for 4 touchdowns, actually back-to-back games, by the way, where he threw for 4 touchdowns back in October. But when he came back from his injury, it was against the Detroit Lions. They lost that tough game in Detroit, right? But he was 16 of 23, 169. Might not seem like much. No interceptions, ran for 104 yards. And when you're looking at his progression, he's played some tough teams, and he's played well. So I'll tell you what, DJ Moore is a stud dog, Maryland guy. There's a lot of things to like with Justin Fields. So I kind of lean.
Justin Fields, Marvin Harrison Jr., and DJ Moore is a very fun offense to think about.
Yeah, but I do this. I'll play the other side of this. I do think Justin Fields isn't one of those quarterbacks that has the quick reactions where it's going to be, hey, get the ball out of your hands quick. Sometimes he holds on to it too long. That's his thing. But can he throw a deep ball down the field? Yes.
Yeah, he throws a really nice deep ball.
So I think just people have to live with it. Do you want a style that's more like a Brock Purdy where it's quicker decisions, or do you want a style that's more like Lamar Jackson? And hey,
which one's the MVP?
Oh, is that a precursor?
little precursor to conversations later.
Oh, okay.
Oh, stop traffic, Brad. What you got?
I was just going to say to put my final word on this topic. I would say it's one of these things where it's the devil you know versus the one you don't. Yeah. And the Caleb Williams is unproven in the NFL. And we've seen that he's had some interesting emotional reactions to adversity this past season. And I'm not quite sure that that's a project that I would want to take on when we already know that Justin Fields knows how to win ball games. He just needs better personnel around him. And I think that that's actually happening. And I don't know. The second half of this season for the Bears was a lot better than the first half, and I would be really anxious to see what it looks like coming into next year. I think they really started to figure a lot of things out, and to like rip Justin Fields out of there and just think that you can plug and play Caleb Williams, I think is just insane. I just think it's insane. It would be poor coaching. I think that if the GM of the Bears does that, you just need to fire him.
Yeah, and so I'll make the last point. Actually, Kevin with Locked On Ravens, Kevin Ostreicher. Hey, Kevin, friend of the program. Talk about a good kid, by the way.
Kid.
Kevin, maybe we'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah.
Maybe. But he said about the situation, they should honestly trade it again. They got insane value the first time, and Fields is showing something. I'd rather just see it out and give him weapons. I mean, hey, that number 1 overall pick, some team is going to overpay. And when you look at that, and you look at talent, if you have the right coaching staff in there and philosophy, and how about this? We'll close it with this, guys. I saw on Marlins on the Punchline and Jack Settleman talking about, and Marlin asking Roquan about Justin Fields. Roquan spoke so highly of Justin Fields. And I think when you see a guy like Roquan's character and you see the talent and you see people in that locker room really believing what Justin Fields is bringing to the table, I think you have to consider that, especially with what the team's been doing over the stretch. Now, if the Bears fell apart and they were terrible down this stretch, maybe different conversation. But the Bears now have a chance to finish at 8-9, and this whole different perspective of culture is now changing in Chicago, which is what you ultimately want. You want your culture to change. And right now, Chicago is trending in the right direction.